Hey. So, um, hey, don't forget if you like this, please hit the smash the like button, subscribe, and if you really like it, there's this new hype button apparently. I don't know that this, you know, I might as well let you all know, but you know, uh, I've been tinkering around with black with the mono black deck, and it's funny. I kind of have this a little bit of an obsession that I want to like at least have a little representation of every color. Um, yeah, I want to at least have a little taste of every color in every not every format, but at least in Pioneer. I mean, maybe eventually I'll dip my toes back into Modern, but Modern just became a totally different format basically after Modern Horizons 3. It's weird, but I honestly feel like Pioneer is kind of closer to the Modern that I remembered and kind of am more familiar with. So honestly, yeah. Basically, I read an article that I think I agree with. Modern is basically the new Legacy. Legacy is the new Vintage. Vintage is the new I don't even know what. But yeah, like Legacy is the new Vintage. Modern is the new Legacy, and Pioneer I think is the new Modern. Basically, that's kind of like all of those formats kind of shifted back once. Honestly, I don't know if Legacy really is vintage. Legacy kind of seemed like kind of like what it always was when I dipped my toes in a little bit. Legacy always had insane combo. Although it did seem like there was more of that than ever, so I guess there's that. But in any case, yeah. So like, yeah. But honestly, aside from just kind of a little bit of a obsessive sort of desire to get a little representation of every color. Just so at least I get a little taste of it. Um, Honestly, I feel like the mono black deck kind of benefits too much from green to pass up anyway. I feel like we kind of have to be playing green if that makes sense. And honestly, like the more and more I've been playing the deck, the more and more I think Mosswood Dread Knight is kind of necessary. This is not as insane as I thought it was when I first saw it previewed. Because it's funny. As soon as I tried it at first, I kind of got disillusioned, and I think I abandoned it a little too quickly because basically, like the tempo was just kind of a little problematic. Like even when it kept blocking things, coming back, you know, also it just can't. It just it gets kind of brickwalled by stuff like Shieldred or whatever. Not, I mean, we could have removal for it, but it's like a 3/2 body gets outclassed by a surprising amount of stuff in Pioneer. Not everything, but it got outclassed sometimes. Even when it was kind of doing its thing, it costed a lot of mana, and the opponent's ability to just sort of still churn through their deck, generate card advantage, still pull ahead while I was still doing my thing was a little disheartening because I was like, man, like what's even the point of this if it felt like my opponent was generating card advantage more efficiently, advancing their game plan more efficiently, outclassing you with bigger stuff like demon tokens and whatnot from Annex of the whatever. It just felt like kind of like, yeah, man, Mosswood Dread Knight, maybe this card just really got power crept. And to some extent, it kind of did, I think, but that doesn't mean that this card still isn't exactly what this deck needs. And one of the things that I think um, honestly I was just kind of holding out way too much and really just kind of being a little bit too much of a contrarian was the deck absolutely needs Thoughtseize. Um, I mean, yes, you could play something like Pilfer or Binding Negotiations or even Duress. I had Duress in the sideboard for a while, but it just always felt like 8 discard spells was just too much. We're not like a red black mid range where we do not win the game by just like sticking an Annex or something. Like, I mean, I guess we kind of do if we stick Crucible Worlds, but like we don't. The problem is we don't always have Crucible Worlds, and Crucible Worlds isn't always like an I win button against like every deck in the format. Um, it is kind of against some decks, but it's not like, yeah. Anyway, bottom line, it's also more susceptible to a wider variety of removal than Annex. It can get Artifact Hate is more plentiful than Enchantment Hate, plus Graveyard Hate is a way to combat it. Bottom line is bottom line is I think having like multiple like duress and Thoughtseize in these other mono black mid range type shells that you might see running around, mono black or red black or whatever. I think it works better in those decks because those decks have a greater ability to. I mean, they're just more proactive at the end of the day. Like they stick something like a Graveyard Trespasser or an Annex or a or a Fable of the Mirror Breaker, which doesn't win the game all by itself, but then it turns to the deck and it finds the other stuff. Like really, like yeah, those other decks, they're just more proactive. They just kind of stick stuff, try to win, and just yeah, disrupting the opponent is just a little bit more valuable the more proactive you are in a sense. This deck is definitely a lot more control-ish. I still call it mid-range or rock, I guess. Um, but it's definitely closer on the control side of things. It's like a spectrum. Control and mid-range are not necessarily like a like a binary. They're kind of like a continuum. And this deck is clearly more on the control side than other black mid-range type shells you might see running around for the most part. I wouldn't say it's pure control though, and the main reason is Mosswood Dread Knight. If Mosswood Dread Knight isn't in the deck, then it's definitely pure control, and I think that's kind of one of the problems. Is when I tried to kind of have it as more pure control. Anywho, I think the deck absolutely needs Thoughtseize, and there kind of is no real substitute. Um, yeah, like the thing is, there's so many creatures that have enters the battlefield abilities or just otherwise you don't want duress to whiff, even if their creatures can be dealt with otherwise by extinction event and whatnot. At the end of the day, you don't want duress to whiff, and that does happen to a greater extent than Thoughtseize. I think that alone is kind of like, it's worth the 2 life that it whiffs less. But aside from that, there's just so many creatures that have enters the battlefield abilities, or otherwise can generate, value the turn they come into play. They give something else an ability the turn they come down, or who knows. It's just yeah, it's a little bit of a misnomer to think that all you need is duress because you've got so much creature removal in the main anyway. Like that is why, I mean, before Thoughtseize was printed, that is why duress was by far the best 1-mana discard spell. Is just that black had such easy access to creature removal that for the most part, duress pretty much dealt with anything that the creature removal couldn't. But since Thoughtseize was printed a long time ago, it's really just kind of been better, especially since Magic has just been turning out more and more creatures with enters the battlefield type effects. And a good example of that is Lumra, the something something, the wild whatever, I don't forget what it's called, but that combo deck that churns lands and whatnot. Yeah, Lumra is like, it's a creature, but it's really kind of used more as a combo piece. I mean, sometimes it wins by attacking, very rarely, but and it can because it's oftentimes humongous. But it's funny that that's really kind of like a creature that's more used as a combo piece, and typically wins the turn it comes into play because, of course, it's got an insane enters the battlefield ability, and that's exactly the kind of effect that we want to Thoughtseize, and we can't do that with duress. So there you go. And at the end of the day, 1 mana is just, I mean, I know it seems kind of obvious, but just 1 mana is a lot less than 2. And at the end of the day, the other discard options, they were okay. They kind of did their stuff, but the main thing is that, like, even though we won't always have 1 black, I mean, we do have 8 turn 1 black sources if you count Mirax, which, a not insignificant amount of time, it will be correct to drop a Mirax, Thoughtseize, and then turn to, like, Maze Mind Tome or something, or try to find another, black source the next turn with Inscribed Tablet, which we'll get to in a second. Yeah, at the end of the day, we've got 6 permanent black sources we can play on turn 1. We've got Murex too, which there will be some circumstances where it's not correct to Thoughtseize off of this on turn 1, but there will be probably more circumstances where it will be, and it's not an insane amount of black sources to cast Thoughtseize off turn 1, but we have black sources in our opening hand enough since I've started playing it again that yeah, I think Thoughtseize is definitely better than for like Pilfer or Binding Negotiation. It might seem obvious, but just the more and more I test with Thoughtseize, like my win rate definitely improved. And full disclosure, man, this was one of the most brutal decks to test because ever since like Annex and all these other cards got printed into the format, it's not so much that this deck. It's not so much that this deck like got worse per se, but everything else just got so much better. Anyway, just real quick, you know what's funny? Like I was taking so many L's to like especially red black mid range specifically, and it seems so funny, but this simple innocuous looking card, Karn Silex, this simple card actually flipped the match from one that I lost more often than won to one that I'm now winning more often than I'm losing. It's not like I'm winning every single time, and it's not like I lost every single time before, but this one, like actually I feel like the match is positive now. Um, it could just be like pure variance too to some extent, but you'll see. I mean, you might see when it comes up because I almost run into black red mid range at least once every league. So I mean, like this card, like the funny thing about it is you'd think, well, they see it coming, they can play around it. Also, they can like, they can hit it with artifact hate like Kolagon's Command or a Braid. A surprising amount of time, they don't really have artifact removal, even though they do play it. Not all, I don't think all of them play it main deck, and even when they do, it's not like they always have it. And also, when they have it, a lot of times they're hitting my Maze Mind Tome for obvious reasons. And that's, sometimes I played Maze Mind Tome turn 1, and then Karn Silex sticks turn 2. I mean turn 3. Obviously Maze Mind Tome is losing Maze Mind Tome is a problem, but oftentimes Karn Silex probably ends up making a bigger difference in those kind of scenarios, ironically, because they might play like a fear of missing out, and then I drop like a Karn Silex, and then for example they got Fable the Mirror Breaker, and they got Annex in their hand, and like a lot of times their hand is kind of in a situation. I mean, obviously if they've got something like what's that card called, that 2-mana vampire, whatever it is, that 2-mana 3/2 vampire that creates a blood token, and it can sacrifice and give -X, -X. X is twice the number of blood tokens. Anyway, if they've got a card like that, it'd probably be correct, or that 3/1 demon, whatever it's called, with a reconfigure, with menace. Like obviously that would be the play most of the time, to try to bait me cracking Karn Silex for, and not hit one of their high value cards. Like basically Fable and Annex are their high value cards that we want to be hitting with Karn Silex. But they don't always have that, and even if they do play those cards, sometimes we just untap and we like Languish or something instead of Karn Silex, and then they just walked into a 2-for-1, and they're not drawing an extra card. A surprising amount of times, I mean, I see them play into like for example, they drop a Fear of Missing Out or that Vampire card, and then next turn they play a Fable or Annex or something like that. And obviously with Annex they draw an extra card at the end of their turn, so it's not like a true 2-for-1. But I will tell you this much: this would definitely be a -1, against us if it wasn't for Karn Silex also sweeping up their creature that they played together with it. And at the end of the day, it just feels like, I mean, I assume they know how this card works. I assume they're reading it, but a good amount of time, I just see them like play some kind of creature, and then they play something like Fable or Annex, into it, and my guess is they just kind of have to. My guess is like it just doesn't make sense for them to just keep, ditzing around and not doing anything, not putting any pressure on, not advancing their plan. But that's quite like, especially if they draw something like Fable, which doesn't draw a card at the end of their turn, like Annex. This card just it just generates. I mean, it doesn't generate, but it's like a clean 2-for-1 basically. And Fable otherwise is actually kind of always like a 2-for-1 against us, except for Karn Silex. Like honestly, a decent amount of time, like them just playing Fable and us just playing Karn Silex. I mean, using Karn Silex, after they play a Fable. Sometimes we'll just take the 1-for-1, and I know we end up paying a total of 6 mana, but sometimes that's worth it. Like just being able to trade evenly with Fable is sometimes worth it, because without this card, you have to deal with the token, then you've got to deal with the Fable, and the Fable also churned through your deck. Granted, it didn't, usually not pure card advantage, but oftentimes discarding like extra lands or removal spells, and removal spells are kind of not at their best against this deck because they don't really have like much exile effects, so it's not really ideal against Mosswood Dread Knight, although it does tempo us, so basically what Mosswood Dread Knight kind of does is it kind of turns their removal spells into kind of like unsummons. A little bit more tempo-y unsummons though, because we have to play Dread Whispers, but also unsummons that even put them further behind in card disadvantage, because we draw a card on top of this card effectively getting returned to our hand in a sense. But yeah, basically Fable, there's just always good cards from the discard, which would otherwise be dead or suboptimal to say the least. So just being able to deal with Fable before it draws extra cards. Yeah, I mean, Fable's a 2-for-1, plus it filters their unideal cards. It's really important, and just Silex just trades 1-for-1, and yeah. It's also just nice that Mosswood Dread Knight is an extra win condition in a deck that, Murex is a funny card because on the one hand, it's really nice that a land can basically be my win condition. On the other hand, I don't really like playing 4 of these because they kind of don't do a lot in multiples. Yeah, this is a really good card as a 2 of, I think, but it's just as a 4 of. But the problem is if I don't play it as a 4 of, sometimes I just don't really draw my win condition until super late in the game. And sometimes they've got fields and stuff, and I mean, sure, we got Crucible, but like, let's say hypothetically they counter all my Crucibles in like a control deck, and then they field my 2 Murexes, which even if I had 4, they could field all 4 of them, but increasing the amount of win conditions is not a bad idea if you're facing that. It's just like, you could easily end up in a situation where you don't actually have any win conditions anymore. And, Mosswood Dread Knight, it's funny actually, so from my testing, you'd think Mosswood Dread Knight would be not so good against blue-white control because of exile effects, like especially March of Otherworldly Light. I mean, yeah, they've got cards like Temporary Lockdown and such. Sometimes they play like a Portable Hole type effect. But, okay, those like Portable Hole, exile, and then it returns when the card leaves type effects, those are not as scary as they might think, because Blast Zone is a fairly free way for us to, especially those 1-mana ones, it sweeps those away pretty easily and seamlessly, I might say. And March of Otherworldly Light, they've only played like 4 of them, and a lot of times they kind of rely on them to deal with stuff that ends up slipping through, which these cards slip through more than they ever have before, now that I'm playing Thoughtseize. It's much easier, by the way, also being 1 mana to Thoughtseize and then drop a Crucible or something. Little things like that are things that are obviously why Thoughtseize is more preferable to something that costs 2 mana, obviously, but yeah, you'd be surprised. Basically what I'm trying to say is, and of course they got like Farewell, but like, you'd be surprised how often their removal is something like Supreme Verdict or Get Lost, something like that. And it's not ideal against Mosswood Dread Knight. And if they don't actually have, and also you'd be surprised how often they've got like a Dovin's Veto in their hand. And if we don't, we got to be careful, because I think a lot of times it is kind of better to draw a card before we deploy this if possible, just in case they remove it, we get some card advantage out of the situation. But there is a good amount of situations, and like Blue-White Control is a good example, where, for example, they play way more Dovin's Veto type effects that counter non-creature spells, sometimes actual negate too. And sometimes we want to just play this as a Mosswood Dread Knight rather than Whispers first, simply because that way we get card. I mean, yeah, if they deal with it with Get Lost or something, they could hit it on the way back. But anyway, but yeah, at the end of the day, this card is actually, it's a better win con than you might think. Sometimes blocking, just having an extra blocker, and that's another thing I noticed too, is when you actually have a blocker, they obviously are more incentivized to overextend more into sweepers. So, yeah. And of course, it's funny, Assassin's Trophy for the longest time was a sideboard card. My thinking used to be that if I only play something like Mosswood Dread Knight in the main, or no green cards at all, and I can bring them in the sideboard, and that way I know that I only have to fetch green in games 2 and 3 if I bring in green sideboard cards. But at the end of the day, Assassin's Trophy is a card that I found myself bringing in every single matchup, essentially. It's very, very few matchups where we don't want it, especially with the 8 fields. Like, there's generally kind of 1 or 2 types of decks that we run into. We run into a deck with a lot of basics, and most of them, and obviously the giant exception is this mono black mid-range deck running around, which I think that's just a bad matchup that there's just kind of nothing we can do about. Because we really kind of like against the red-black mid-range deck, we really rely on Crucible and hitting their non-basics to quite a good extent, and to help lock in, you know, to help lock in a victory. I mean, we don't necessarily always. I mean, so yeah, but also the mono black deck. It's also got like Arch Enemy's Charm. The funny thing about the mono black mid range deck is it's both less susceptible to Field of Ruin shenanigans, and it also I think it also just has better card advantage than red black mid range, and certainly less susceptible to Karn's Silex because it doesn't rely on Fable as much. Arch Enemy's Charm is very brutal. Um, yeah, especially if they bring back like two Graveyard Trespassers or something, and unless we have like a sweeper, and sometimes they don't play two into a sweeper for obvious reasons. But anyway, yeah, Assassin's Trophy just there's two types of decks. There's decks that that play a lot of basics. Most of those are going to be more aggro type decks like humans or mono red burn or aggro or such. In which case it's just generally like not that problematic to give them an extra land. I mean, it is, but it's not like that much. Just because of the nature of things, it's not like we're ramping them in anything. And then there's types of decks where the ramp would be a problem, but most of those more mid-rangey control type decks, keyword most, not all. The demolition fields oftentimes will severely, take most of their basics out of their decks anyway. And if not, Assassin's Trophy makes these closer to becoming strip mines. So it kind of balances out, you know what I mean? And then at the end of the day, this card just fits the deck very well because of these fields. It also notably it can hit a basic land. So we could potentially just like destroy all their lands with this card. And it's funny, I actually think this deck might become my resident kind of Ponza type deck. I actually think mono red I'm going to be moving to just sort of just kind of a more of an old school prowess type build because honestly, like I could not make mono red mid range work anymore in this format. It's just mid range is just not what red wants to be doing because the creatures are too big, like those demon tokens off of that Annex card. Shieldred, and I mean Shieldred obviously, with the mono red deck we could play Torch the Witness, but that's only like one card that answers that. But yeah, at the end of the day, there's just when the format was only Shieldred, it was like, it was manageable. But now that there's like also that demon token, and there's just yeah. Exactly. Yeah, the problem is with mono red, there's that 1/4 ward demon creature that's legendary and surveils X, where X is the number of attacking creatures, and it's just like, and then it gets out of burn range so easily. Yeah, I just find so it's just kind of nice also to just sort of have a representative Ponza type deck, even if it's ironically not mono red, which used to be what the entire kind of idea was, and then I branched out into other colors, but yeah. Assassin's Trophy is probably better than like Cleansing Wildfire anyway, because aside from the fact that it's instant speed, I mean, it doesn't draw a card, but at the end of the day, the flexibility of being able to hit like any permanent if we need to, and there's a good amount of time where we're going to be wanting to do that instead of hitting a land. Yeah, it's probably just better overall. So yeah, and then we obviously have a two, and obviously since we're only playing two Murex, we can play two Blast Zone main. I think Blast Zone also makes sense as a 2-of. It's a very solid card to have access to. Very, very good possible recursion with Crucible, but it's also a card that kind of having multiples of is least helpful, at least certainly compared to like fields and stuff. Now, on Scribe Tablet, it's funny that it takes so long to get to this, but this is a funny card because it might seem odd because this is the kind of card where I used to play Bell, Fountain Port Bell here. Yeah, and actually I really like this card, Fountain Port Bell. It's actually surprisingly good. The idea is we can grab our lands early in the game when we need them, and then late in the game we can cycle it. It's kind of like a cycle land of sorts, but also it pulls the lands out of the deck instead of instead of just playing it as an extra land. So we end up. I mean, thinning is like not something you should necessarily be thinking too much about, but it is a marginal benefit over because later in the game you do on average draw at least slightly less lands. Not a huge advantage, but anyway, mostly just playing this as sort of like a cycle land. Here's the problem, though. I realized almost every single time that I was getting lands off of this early in the game, I didn't usually want. I mean, sometimes I had a bunch of these colorless lands, and I kind of wanted to pull a colored land, but a surprising amount of times, I either had the color I needed, or it was a matchup where I didn't necessarily need the colored mana right away. I could afford to just wait and get the colored mana off of cracking fields, and a good amount of time I wanted extra lands, but I wanted those lands to be utility lands. I didn't want those lands to be basic lands. I wanted to get some value out of the lands, if that makes sense. And I just felt like every single time I used this to just draw a basic, it just felt not good. It felt like I felt like I kind of card disadvantaged myself in a way. I mean, not really, because at the end of the day, if you think of this as just sort of like additional copies of cycling basics, it's still a decent card. But what I like about Inscribed Tablet is this card it allows me to more consistently hit my land drops. It also pulls them out of the deck, which it does. I do feel like it makes a difference, and especially the game. So there are some games where I win with only like 10 or 5 cards left in my deck. Deck thinning absolutely makes a difference when the game goes that long, if you know what I mean. Like, you do see less lands on average per draw when the game goes that long. Most games do not go that long, but the adage that deck thinning doesn't make a difference, it assumes that the game ends before you see like half your deck, basically. Like, if you see like over half your deck, maybe over like 45 cards of your deck, like, you do obviously feel the difference. Maybe even half, you don't feel it that much, but like, basically the further into the deck you go, the more you feel it, because that tiny little incremental difference really adds up. The more cards you see. But anyway, but yeah, it's just mostly it just advances and makes me hit my land drops while also getting value out of the lands. And what I also noticed is that I was running into a problem of drawing Crucible Worlds, but no fields and even no Blast Zones sometimes to really actually get value out of it. And there's kind of no worse feeling than having a potentially super powerful card, and like, yeah, just actually it being kind of a dead card because you don't have your other cards. And that's the thing about Bell, is Fountain Port Bell, is, yeah, like, a lot of times I was like, man, I wish I had like a field, because then I could go to town with Crucible. Instead there's like just a Crucible either rotting in my hand or rotting in play with, like, it's literally doing nothing. And Inscribed Tablet, like, this just really helps power through to find more fields, and also even find our first field so Crucible can do its thing. It's not perfect, obviously. One problem is that later in the game, sometimes we don't want to draw a land, period. That's especially true if we've already got Crucible Worlds going. There's going to be a lot of situations where, yeah, we don't want any land because we've already got a Blossom, we've already got a field, so we're already kind of locking the game down, but we just need to actually, like, either deal with something that's gradually killing us on the table, or find a win con or something. And yeah, bottom line is it's not like Inscribed Tablet is perfect, but I just do find that that being able to get the utility lands is very good. And against the decks where Field of Ruins are primo, where they actually are almost like strip mines, and there are those decks running around. It's really cool that Inscribed Tablet is kind of, it's not exactly, but it's almost kind of like additional fields, because we can just rip to them, basically. Even if it does whiff somehow, it is nice that it draws a card. A lot of times, though, we will be relying on this to hit our land drop, so it's still going to be pretty brutal if we don't hit a land. I mean, sometimes we might not hit a land in the top 5, but then the next card on the top might be a land. That's happened before. Yeah. And another nice thing about this, because there is like Expedition Map in Pioneer, but one nice thing about Inscribed Tablet, I mean, aside from the fact that 1 mana is obviously very different from 2, aside from the fact that we can play Inscribed Tablet turn 1, crack it, get a land, play another Inscribed Tablet, just kind of be more efficient if we got multiples. Also, sometimes we're going to be searching for a black source. Like sometimes we got a colorless source turn 1, and then we want to crack and scrap tablet, and ideally we want to hit a black source turn 2 so we can Thoughtseize and then hopefully stick a Crucible or something. And it's just really nice that, and we won't always hit the black source, but with like effectively 8 of these to look for, it's not like completely out of the question. And it's just nice that, it's just nice that, you can do that with Inscribed Tablet. You can't do that with like Expedition Map. Plus, this is the kind of card where you could keep a hand with like 1 land and like 2 in tablets. It's a little risky, especially if they Thoughtseize or counter the tablets. But yeah, you could potentially keep a 1-lander if you've got like, I would probably say multiple. If there's only 1 tablet, you might want seriously consider mulliganing it. But depending on the matchup, depending on, I don't know, you might want to keep those too. It all depends. Also depends if the rest of the hand's just removal or just engine pieces of sorts, then maybe you want to mulligan it because the hand is too clunky. Otherwise, you get the idea. It's always a case by case situation. Anywho, yeah. Wow, this has been going on for a while. Yeah, I like March because it helps make up for the life loss of Thoughtseize and Mosswood Dread Knighting. And oh yeah, you could also pitch Thoughtseize too. Like later in the game, if Thoughtseize becomes a dead card, you can just pitch it for extra life and potentially dealing with a bigger creature than you otherwise could. Not always super relevant, but it is kind of cool that is something you can do if it comes to it. But yeah, the Mosswood Dread Knight, yeah, sometimes this card, the life loss actually becomes a problem when you go down too far, and it is just nice that March can recoup some of that. And my sweepers, other than Karn Silex, are Extinction Event and Languish, and yeah, so both of these are actually pretty good 4-mana sweepers. It really just depends on the opponent's opposing deck and what specific cards they drew. It's, like I used to kind of be playing like Extinction Event and Deadly Cover Up, or sometimes Languish and Deadly Cover Up. But at the end of the day, I think we're going to be playing Deadly Cover Up in the sideboard. It does have this kind of Necromentia type effect, which feels very sideboardy, but also it's just a little expensive. We probably only want to be bringing this in against the more swarmy kind of decks, or decks that we can just afford to wait to 5 mana, like the mid-range, like some of those mid-range decks, where the exile effect may also be super relevant too. But yeah, what I just like about Languish and Extinction Event is usually one or the other of these cards is going to wipe the entire board. We may not always have both of these cards in our hand to be able to select which one is going to do the job better for the circumstance, but it is nice when we do, and it's also just nice that these cards also get around indestructibility, and there is that Vehicle Reanimator deck. Now it plays all those indestructible creatures, and yeah, just having sweepers that actually just get around indestructible is kind of nice too, because you can't like, indestructible doesn't prevent a card dying from getting negative toughness. Neither does it prevent getting exiled. And yeah, so the sideboard, what's up with here? So I might sound weird. There's no Cling to Dust. There's no like actual dedicated graveyard hate. What I'm finding is there's just not actually a lot of graveyard decks in Modern, and one of the only ones, this sort of Kavarenko Mindbitten, I forget what it's called, but this card, this like creature that comes into play as a copy, and then anyway, bottom line is I'm finding that there's just not that much of that, and one of the only decks that does, I find, is kind of susceptible to the field strategy anyway. I'm also hoping that Deadly Cover Up and Necromentia are enough incidental graveyard hate. If there's a card that does have graveyard recursion, we do have some answers, so to speak. But yeah, also Legion's End. This is a way we could deal with. There are some. For example, I doubt this would be the case, but if, for example, we're playing an opposing Mosswood Dread Knight deck, a more common example would probably be like a Cauldron Familiar, which this would only really work if they don't have a way to sacrifice it in response. But if they don't, it's kind of cool because it exiles it and it takes any other copies out of their hand or graveyard if they cycled through it or something and don't have a way to bring it back. But yeah, like there's just even if the exile isn't super relevant, it's just kind of super nice that we can deal with multiple different creatures of the same name, and yeah, or we can get the cards out of their hand. I don't know. It's possible that this card is too gimmicky, but I do feel like I need some additional exile effects, and I also just feel like we do want some help against certain creature decks because we're not always going to have the mana we need to cast Assassin's Trophy on turn 2. It's not really the ideal turn 2 removal spell anyway, because even if they don't play many basics, it's very unlikely we got much work done with fields, so they do get some incidental ramp early on anyway. Yeah, it's possible this card is too gimmicky, but let's see how it goes. And Shielders deck. I know this card is. I know it's weird. You would kind of think that this card would be in the main deck instead of Assassin's Trophy, but I just find that there's more decks where being able to either hit a basic or being able to hit any permanent type is just better overall. And Necromentia is kind of incidental graveyard hate, and it's also like one of the only ways we actually have a chance against decks like Lumra or whatever. Actually, believe it or not, Lumra is not the best card to name with Necromentia. It's actually that Port of Kirill or whatever it's called, that card that recurs, because they've got that other creature that pays 4 mana and returns all lands from their graveyard to play. And obviously if you can hit Lumra and that other card, there's just not a lot of like recursion they can end up doing. But yeah, the only problem, of course, is that Port of Kirill, like, if they play it, then you've got to both Necromentia and you've got to field, and ideally you want to field first because their land recursion spells get Port of Kirill out of their graveyard pretty easily. But if they don't actually happen to have Port of Kirill yet, if they haven't actually, or they might have it in their hand and they haven't played it yet for whatever reason, most of the time you would imagine they would play it, especially if they want to play their tap lands earlier. They don't have anything to do at turn 1, typically, I think. But there will be some times where, aside from the fact that it could be stuck in their hand, it's also they might also just not have drawn it yet. And I have, man, actually there was one game where I thought I was going to win because I hit Port of Kirill. But something to keep in mind is sometimes like they can win with Lumra, and you'd think that's how they won, but that's actually not. I mean, I did have enough like extinction events and Assassin's Trophies and whatnot, so I kept the Lumras from killing me. But there was a game where they actually just ended up using Lumra, using Winter Night Stories, and just they actually just kind of like churned through their deck, and then just won with Thassa's Oracle, without even like comboing off, just sort of like dragging the game out long enough where they ended up decking themselves, but using that to their advantage with Thassa's Oracle and winning the game instead of losing it. Yeah, because I wasn't able to close the game out fast enough, and honestly they turned through the deck pretty quickly anyway. But part of that was a mistake. I actually drew 2 Necromencias that game, and I don't know what I was thinking with the second Necromentia. I think I named, what did I name? Did I name Lumra, or I didn't name Lumra or Winter Night Stories, I think. I forget what I named with the second Necromentia, but whatever it was, I think clearly what I needed to name was Winter Night Stories, because that card basically turned through 6 cards of their deck. So yeah, that's that. If it wasn't for that, I think I would have been able to win before they turned through enough of their deck to Thassa's Oracle. I think, what did I name? I can't remember. First one was Port. Second one was actually, it had to have been Lumra. But I could have sworn that they used Lumra. You know what it might have been? They might have had a Lumra in play. I might have tanked 1 hit, so I might have named Lumra, but they still had 1 Lumra, and they ended up using that to actually deck themselves together with Winter Night Stories. Whatever the case may be, I think I would have been able to win that game if I would have named Winter Night Stories. That card is more deep digging than Lumra anyway. And without Port of Kirill, Lumra doesn't necessarily isn't that scary. We do have ways to deal with big creatures. Anyway, um, and Deadly Cover Up. Yeah, just like I said before, this card is main deckable in this type of deck, but it's very expensive. But it is nice, especially since it's got this Necromentia type effect tagged on, which is kind of cool. It only works obviously if you can exile a card from their graveyard. But yeah. Anyway, I think I've done enough of the deck tech, and maybe let's get to the games. Okay. Um, well, we're gonna risk it, but I have lost a number of games trying to be ambitious with this. I would say 90% of the time, Inscribed Tablet finds a land, but every once in a while you got no land on the top 5 cards of your library, which is always unfortunate. I would have liked to just jam a Maze Mine while they're, you know. So I think this might be like a Phoenix type deck, in which case I think we want. Can we unselect? Yeah, let's do Demolition Field. Who knows? They maybe disguise that we're playing 8 fields. Although typically, if you see Demolition Field, I think it's safe to assume your opponent is playing 4 field of Ruin in addition to how many of these. But there could be. We might not want to automatically shuffle ourselves. Who knows? I like the fewer card types. Okay, so it's the VV deck. Okay. I still think trying to cheese them is probably one of the best things we can do, and I think cheesing is better by color screw. Not a particularly good matchup. You never know. Maybe we cut them off blue. It's unlikely, but we've got to take any chance we can get here. Should have done that on their upkeep maybe, but who knows? With blue they could draw a card. Yeah, I mean, just never know, right? What if we prevented them from casting VV? I mean, it seems unlikely, but you never know, right? Okay, yeah, I guess Field of Ruin. Um, Man, this feels so crunchy, but I just don't want to. I don't want them to get treasure tokens. Ugh, so crunchy. So maybe we'll bring in more creature removal. Games 2 and 3. Oh, well, that's assuming maybe we can win this one. You never know. Agatha's Soul Cauldron actually screws up our. We might be color screwing them. You never know. So they got instant, artifact, creature, land, oif. Oh yeah, and they can BV it up now. Now they got blue. Wait, they can add red too? Oh, because it's power, not counters. Man, Vivi is just so freaking like. Honestly, I'm surprised it doesn't draw a card when it comes into play, knowing current Wizard design philosophy. Oh, that's lovely. I'm also surprised they make it only once per turn and on your turn. Well, I mean, they had the sense to realize that this would just get instant. They would have to get insta banned if it triggered more than once a turn. Okay, interesting. Okay. Okay, I'm kind of. Oh, because they can continue going off with Vivi, right? Some Quantum Riddler. Okay. This Tarkir Dragonstorm set seems a little powerful. Oh my goodness. Wait, oh yeah, because it gains counters when you discard. And if I would have known that this was going to happen, I probably would have Assassin's Trophied the Soul Cauldron. This is fair, very fair. I think we're just gonna go try full mana screw. We're not winning this. Well, we're not full mana screw. We have to maybe we go after the huge Mutavault and then the Soul Cauldron. I guess this is just not good. Oh yeah, wait, power? No, they have a count. Oh yeah, this one too. Yeah. Wow. Very fair, very fair. I think we have to exile. Oh, yeah, we got to do even. I just don't know if I should have even showed them that, because realistically, they're gonna draw a bunch of cards. We need to do Assassin's Trophy that. Did we kill their Vivi? How did their Vivi get into the graveyard? I'm trying to remember. I don't see us using a removal spell. So, yeah, how did Vivi get into their graveyard again? Oh, they discarded it with Fear, of course. Or with Winter Night's Stories. I can't remember which one. No, they had Fear. Yeah, no, Fear. I can't remember. Well, we'll see. The video is recording it, so. All right, lovely. Like continuing to go off, and then this is probably going to be lethal. This deck just seems better than Phoenix at this point. I can beat the Phoenix deck. This deck, I don't know. Well, this is does this count all cards this turn? Or X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn. Well, okay. Pretty sure that's lethal. Okay, Quantum Riddler. Starring Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Okay, excellent. Well, I mean, at this point, I'm just kind of trying to hedge my clock a little bit. I think these games sometimes can get a little grindy, and hey, if somebody's going to lose on the clock, why have that BS? See this card all the time in the preview pane. Whatever Gobin deals. Damage to a player. Connives. Man, this seeing the Spider-Man set makes me just realize, like, I thought I was somewhat knowledgeable about the Spider-Man mythos, but there apparently seems to be so much. Like, I don't recognize like pretty much any of these characters. Yeah, I'm sorry if this Gobin guy is some kind of Spider-Man villain or something. But where did he go? Where did Gobin go? I just saw him. Did he get transformed? What happened? Oh yeah, he did get transformed. Okay. Two less. He's not like card. Mayhem. What is Mayhem again? Come on, dude. At this point, they're just showing off. Or trying to unlock the achievement of decking and winning with Thassa's Oracle or something, I guess. You may cast a card from your graveyard for its mayhem cost if you discarded it this turn. Okay, interesting. Time will still apply. Wait, this guy doesn't transform, does he? Oh, he can. Interesting. So he can transform, but he can also just be cast, right? Interesting. He can just be cast as Fleam, or he can transform into Fleam. So they're pretty much going through their entire deck just with Winter Night's Stories for card draw, or am I missing something? I mean, this digs it enormously far when you do it twice. It's still kind of hard to believe that they can rip through this much of their deck with just essentially one engine piece, but I guess there's kind of Fear and kind of Fable, but it's I think it's mostly those cards. Okay. I think because Vivi pretty much immediately gets out of range, we probably need Deadly Cover Up, I guess. Yeah, I don't know about this. Legion's End, because they don't really play much. Like, I mean, there's that Cycler, but I don't think we need that. Shouldered, maybe. Probably Assassin's Trophy is better though. Agatha, Soul Cauldron. I mean, I have Silex, Assassin's Trophy, my 2 Blast Zones, but I mean, yeah, other than Deadly Cover Up, I don't know that we need to make any changes here. It's possible maybe Shoulders Addict was better than March. I'm trying to think here. I think the life gain though, this life gain in testing has been so helpful with Mosswood Dread Knight, because sometimes Mosswood Dread Knight gets shut off if I go down to like 1, which has happened more than you might think, like literally winning the game at 1 life. Yeah, I guess we'll keep. It's possible on the draw we might need Shielders Addict though, because we really don't want to have to exile black cards from our hand to cheapen March. An argument could be made, honestly, that, let's see what this Spell Pierce does. Honestly, if they do, that's fine, because that means Karn's Silex. Oh, I know, even better. Because that card's alive at any point in the game. I'll slam Silex. Oh, I'll try to slam it at least. Okay. This is good because Soul Cauldron by itself doesn't do much, so they're kind of incentivized to play into a 2-for-1, assuming they can't deal with Silex, which is, a somewhat big assumption, but we almost always want to prioritize just casting a Silex, just because, we have to just hope they don't have a way to remove it, and then, we need to have access to it when they do something. I found that even though see what I mean? Like, I found, I don't think it's because people aren't familiar with this, but I have just genuinely found that they seem to have, I assume, just no choice but to play into Winter Night Stories, Marauding Mako. Man, Winter Night Stories is just so... But, if we take Mako, I wonder if Winter Night Stories draws as many cards. I'm trying to think here. I just can't, in good conscience. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, Internet Stories is just the more powerful card here. It just is. But as you all can see, you know, this may not win the game, but as you can see, I'm surprised I didn't take the Thoughtseize, but um, I assume they know what Karn Silex does. I assume they're reading it, but like at the end of the day, I don't think they have much of a choice. A lot of times they think they just have to play into it. And I mean that can you imagine a universe where we didn't have Karn Silex there? This card is deceptively important in this deck. You wouldn't have necessarily thought. Okay. Okay. This might seem a little crunchy, but I think we have to do this to prevent them from too easily harmonizing the Winter Night. I don't like Winter Night stories. I feel like it should like this should be like a convoke effect, not like based on one creature's power or total creature's power. It's a little too good, I think. Okay, well, are we gonna get smacked good? Could get smacked good, or we can Extinction Event. You know, I'm gonna practice what I preach, and I'm gonna prioritize slamming the Karn Silex. Oh, unless they Spell Pierce me. Don't Spell Pierce me, bro. Maybe I shouldn't have played that. Okay. We could just end up dying here. Yeah, I think we're gonna just die here. Yeah, we're gonna die. But playing this just seemed like not the thing to do, but um so that's three. That's seven. They drew one off of this, that's eight. Nine. So nine or nope. Where'd the other cards come from? Ooh, lovely. Yeah, this felt like okay, this player is playing some kind of combo deck, and this hand's not gonna cut it. No way to boost the stuff. Yeah, I don't like it, but I think I have to keep. Um, hope they don't have Thoughtseize, but it's not really much of a choice. Yeah, every time I've faced this player in the past, they're playing the Krenko Mindbitten or whatever it's called. Creature combo deck. If I remember correctly, their deck plays one basic, so there's that. Honestly, not so many of our cards even like matter in this matchup, so I think I'm just gonna probably scry. Basically, I just want to hit as many fields as possible, I think. Yeah, of course they get that in the graveyard. Yeah, I like it, but I don't love it. Man, this sucks because this is going to be important for our long-term victory strategy. So I'm going to put it on top, and I'm going to hope that we hit our land drop off of Whispers, and we did, which, you know, I'll take it. It's you know, and as you can all see, Maze Mine Tome is so much better than Reckoner Bankbuster in what we're trying to do here. We have Extinction Event for the Mind Bitten. Yeah, definitely top. Uh, Yeah, so you know what I think the plan is going to be? Let's see if we can keep them off of Mind Bitten. Yeah, Assassin's Trophy. I mean, like I got nothing better to do anyway. I mean, I could play Mosswood, but I don't see that doing much. Last time, I don't think they played another basic. Let's see if they add another basic. They didn't. I kind of don't want to play Mosswood because hopefully they just miss their next land drop. That would be great because then I could drop Crucible. Okay, let's see what we can do here. We got to hit our land drop. I mean, like if they bring this back, we do have an answer in Extinction Event, so it's not like the end of the world. But I'm not gonna Mosswood because I'm gonna end up having to because then I have to end up well, okay. That's I guess they didn't have mine. Well, they could have drawn in. Maybe they didn't have land and Mind Bitten. If I can see why they would concede no land, no Mind Bitten, and they just see the writing on the wall and bam. So I guess see this is the thing. Like I know it seems gimmicky, but like man, trust me. Like I kind of want a little taste of all the colors in Magic in Pioneer. I don't see myself going too off the beaten path. I thought of trying mono green Merfolk, but or green blue Merfolk, but like from what I can tell, we're just gonna get eaten alive by like all the various mid range decks, including this deck. I think this deck kind of just eats a deck like that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah, and at the end of the day, seems kind of gimmicky, but I've just found that Crucible World it kind of just gives us a little angle to attack. That my hope is that it carves out a little space for us in the meta, so to speak. Now, I think from what I can tell, I don't think their deck really does much without Mind Bitten, whatever that card's called. Um, Languish does like basically literally nothing, so we want Deadly Cover Up. There's no reason to have fast creature removal. I don't think March does much of anything, but we might as well keep one copy in it because why not? I wonder if Karn Silex, it's not big enough to. Only thing I can imagine is what if they bring in Leyline of Sanctity. I can see this as an answer to that, but it's not. I mean, Assassin's Trophy is better going after their lands for the most part. This matchup. So yeah, I think it's not like Karn Silex is like that good, but it's not like March of Rich's Sorrow is that good either. And I have to imagine Karn Silex is a little better than Languish, which doesn't even hit. I mean, it hits like Mind Bitten, but eh. I mean, this configuration ain't perfect, but well, yeah. Let's speed run the getting mana screwed and not be able to Necromentia by they mulliganed two cards, so that's always nice. Okay, well we actually do have the mana to cast Necromentia, and I can only hope that they don't have a counter spell or whatever, but we shall see. Town Greeter. Oh, no land. Nothing to play on turn 2. I really want to go for this Necromentia. I've played against this deck before. I don't think they do much without Mind Bitten. Okay. Dark Slick or Overgrown. Dark Slick, okay. Hopefully no Spell Pierce. I can't not do this. I just can't. I have to go for it. Oh yeah. Mind Bitten. Cav. And once again, another Spider-Man character that I just don't. Okay. Yeah, I'm just not super. I guess if they get enough mana, this card can just damage you control have. That seems pretty powerful. Bringer of the Last Gift is insanely expensive for them to cast. Colossal Sky Turtle. I don't even know if they have the mana. I guess they do, but with my land destruction, hopefully they won't be able to do much. Kaito. They've only got like one copy apparently. Kaito, this Overlord can do some stuff. That's his Oracle. Thoughtseize. Only one Thoughtseize. That's weird. Citrus Supplier. Town Greeter. All right. Should I just go for Extinction Event? Or should I start trying to chip away at their lands? I don't even know what they play with their lands for the most part. I guess Kaito. Kaito kind of. I hope this isn't like greedy here, but let's do this. Huh, so I brought another basic in. I guess that's cool. I guess we'll cut them off double green. Jailer. Can't enter the battlefield. Well, this is a juicier extinction event, at least. So let's do that. Even, bam. All right, well, we'll take it. Let's see. If this. Let's see what this. Oh, yep. They always say this reported for harassment. That's kind of nice of them. Well, hopefully it's not another Vivi deck. Hopefully they're just playing this to just throw us off, because this hand is kind of too risky. The problem is that fine, we'll keep. I don't know. It's probably too risky, but the problem is like, one of the things that I'm even more worried about than getting mana screwed is just like, for example, just drawing a bunch of removal and not ever drawing an engine piece like Crucible. Like, our deck kind of needs a mix of removal so we don't die, and then an engine piece like Crucible to actually, get the game going. Okay, and we'll take that. On the off chance that they're just like not playing, they're just not really playing non-basics. I mean, they gotta be, but if they just keep drawing planes, which okay, I would have thought, but there is like this mostly mono white enchantment type deck running around. Okay, let's go for the Thoughtseize and what is this now? And we'll try to Thoughtseize. Okay. I hate the way we're behind on the clock somehow. Yeah, Dovin's Veto for sure. So we help protect our Crucible, hopefully. I don't know. Hopefully we just gave them one turn to find another counterspell. Okay, good. And we got another backup one in case, you know. This deck plays, I think, like 8 basics, same as us. So it's not like we're gonna like win just off of this, but we'll take any value we can. It's still value. It's not game winning in this matchup, but it is a step in the right direction, if that makes sense. Okay, Herion. Okay, we'll take it. So we're gonna draw a card. Hope we don't draw a land. Okay, good. Reason is, I know we could go after the Restless, but we're gonna be confident that we can draw into what we need. Yeah, I think Forest is good. Okay, well that's fine. Hopefully they don't have another one. Their hand doesn't look like it's got a ton of answers. I guess they must have played their other planes and I must have missed it. I'll probably get black for now. It's a fairly safe bet. I'm gonna need Assassin's Trophy for the Planeswalkers, I think. I mean, we made every single land drop thanks to Crucible. Again, it doesn't like automatically win us the game or anything, but we'll still take it. I think I'll get green this time. I'll still get black. Goins veto. Change the equation. Okay. Well, by tapping this way, we have access to Assassin's Trophy on their Teferi, which of course they drew because why not? Let's do this before they draw their other land and then Govin's veto us. Yep, I think they got 8. I don't know how scary they find this. I'd counter if I were them. Or I'd just answer it with something if they have an answer. I assume they don't have an answer because I would have assumed they would have gotten rid of Crucible by now, although they're not really playing many non-basics yet. Ooh. No. Damn it, man. Let's see if they no more lies me. Could work to our advantage. We'll see. I mean, they got temporary lockdown, Supreme Verdict, get lost, right? What are they doing? Wait, where's did they play one of these and I missed it? Uh, I want to hit this while they're tapped, but yeah, well, I guess we'll do that because who knows? I can draw a Assassin's Trophy. Oh, we'll take this too. We'll take this too. I'm sure they'll get lost it. What happened to like their Supreme Verdict or something? Because oh no, it's a temporary lockdown. They must have exiled this with March. I'll gladly take the trade because I need the card draw. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this, I guess. I guess let's do this. I guess Murex is better than another swamp. We don't want to play it yet because they're just gonna exile it. What I think we may want to do, honestly, is crack this thing, even though both of us are pretty much out of stuff to draw, defend. Scry. Oh, and of course, memory deluge. Yeah, kind of. When they get their memory deluge game going, it can be a little difficult to deal with. Okay. Interesting. I would have thought they'd hit one of my lands in response. Okay, fair enough, I guess. Although this is pretty much over. Like this is too much card advantage here. Well, this gives us you know, something to think about. Let's do this. We want to play the Blast Zone. It's our only chance. Maybe we beat something. I don't know. We couldn't pump it all the way up anyway. Alrighty. I mean, I guess we'll do this because bringing out another field around doesn't seem like it does much. Ooh, oi, 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 oi. I'm gonna miss not having Cling to Dust. Cling to Dust is so good against Memory Deluge. These games can and do come down to time, so at least we'll just try to hang in there as long as possible. This is unfortunately the opposite of what you would do in paper, because in paper, because they don't have the chess clock, really changes how you approach this. In paper, you'd probably just concede, so you because you know, like as far as I know, a draw in paper is pretty much the same as a loss, so you might as well, like, you know, maximize your chances of winning games 2 and 3 rather than going to draw. But here it's just much more likely that um, uh, they've got another Wandering Emperor. I just know it. I just know it. Yeah, when you feel it, you feel it. So Languish is a better serve next turn. No, presumably it's some kind of, you know, counter, but it's got to be like a Dovin's Veto for the most part, or a 3 steps ahead. I think they play that too. Because change the equation won't work on Languish. Man. So I got one more land to fetch. I can bring this back. I don't know what that necessarily does for us, but if we rip a Thoughtseize, maybe we can force this through. Well, I guess we've got 2 cracks at this then. Let's try crack number 1. Oh, interesting. Was not expecting that to work, but hey. Well, Blast Zone recursion on you with Crucible seems like it you know, you never know. It could get us somewhere. You never know. Could. I'm not saying will, but it could. No field, please. They got another Emperor. You just know it. So I think we're gonna have to. Yeah. Then now that's this is not even a question. We gotta try to do, you know what. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Thoughtseize or another sweeper, please. Ideally an extinction event so we don't lose to the Zonga. Blah. Meh. Yuck. Well, moment of truth. Bam. Yeah. I guess Yeah. Nothing else to say. Man. I still think that was correct. I mean, we could have tried to go after Beza, but best long-term plan was to go after Teferi. So this is exactly why we actually have Shielder Dedict in the sideboard. It can also help creature matchups. I don't think, Languish, like, we're going to rely on Extinction Event as our all-purpose sweeper, pretty much. The only thing it doesn't hit is Yorion. Other than that, I mean, there's really no other changes. Let's see here. Yeah. Shoulder Dedict. If we can answer their Planeswalkers, even with all that, memory deluging, it's possible. We still, like, we might have had a chance if Teferi didn't draw like 5 cards or however much it did. I don't think it was 5 cards, like 3 cards or something. 3 cards is a lot, though. Easily could have been the difference between them finding Dovin's Veto or not. It's also fairly unlikely that they see that many memory deluges in an 80-card deck. Although if they're playing Consult the Star Charts, that can help dig them into Memory Deluge. Memory Deluge is way worse for us than Star Charts because Memory Deluge is like essentially, drawing 4 cards, and 2 of those you look at 7 cards to find, which is a lot. And it's a lot of mana, but at the same time, it's also a lot of cards. But I mean, upfront 4 mana, it's crazy like how much better it is than like old school Inspiration. But believe it or not, there was a time when I used to play Inspiration in a control deck. There was a time when that was kind of the best card draw. Oh man. Well, maybe this is just not our day, but I'm gonna keep it. That last hand got there, so you never know. Come on, let's go. Alright, that's not exactly what I was hoping to see. Please don't spell pierce me, that would be the worst. Okay, good. Okay. Interesting. Maybe black would be nice. Oy. Well, we kind of need this. This is better recursion. But I'm kind of not feeling this. What's worse is if they're white screwed, because then like the only way we uncolor screw ourselves is we uncolor screw them. But they can always uncolor screw themselves anyway with this card. Well, I don't think we have much of a choice. I think we need to try to I mean, they could play like Memory Deluge, but they can't play Wandering Emperor. Interesting. Just mana efficiency. If they counter, they counter. Spell Pierce. Change the equation. Okay. Okay. I guess now's as good of, I want to do this so bad, but let me Thoughtseize, and then maybe drop this. Well, good. I really like seeing their hand. I really like just seeing what they've got. Knowing their deck, they're absolutely going to rip a land. That's always what they do. And then Teferi just could end the game. I mean, clearly out of all these cards, Teferi's got to be the selection, right? There's just no other card. That's fine. Let's see if they play Bazanga. The Bounding Spring. Yeah, they're like, I don't know, dude. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I mean, there's a very good chance we end up playing another land than them, and they get a treasure token out of it, which isn't like a lot, but it's nice. That's unlikely they're gonna get a treasure token now, but hey. Let's play around No More Lies. Hmm. We walk right into potentially Farewell. So, you know what? Let's do this. And Thoughtseize. Let's delete the top 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, definitely Farewell. Because yeah, I wouldn't want them to 2-for-1 me and remove my graveyard. Farewell is pretty powerful, actually. I can't say I'm disappointed in discarding that. Yep, finally the Bazanga. Okay. I want to get this off while I can. Okay, I can play double Mosswood, which I think I want to do. I do not want to double block, although I might it's a lot of card advantage to me. I could just regular block. It's fine. Honestly, I think I want a green mana. Okay. I'm not normally into this, but this kind of seems like the thing to do here. I mean, Assassin's Trophy is going to ramp them, so why not play a removal option that doesn't? And Assassin's Trophy literally, unless they play some weird hexproof thing, which there is actually some finisher that has hexproof, which is another reason Shoulder's Dict is a decent sideboard option here. You know, an argument could be made to main deck it, but it's just Assassin's Trophy is just kind of like too good for what this deck's looking for the most part. Okay. That's the power move, as they call it. Let's force a shuffle. They're going to scry, and then we'll force a shuffle. And then do we Assassin's Trophy? Probably. This will give them the mana they need to cast Dovin's Veto, but joke's on them. We didn't even draw a card that Dovin's vetoes. Yeah, this like Get Lost, Supreme Verdict is just so terrible against Mosswood. You know, it's funny. I assume Mosswood wouldn't be good against Blue-Eye Control because of March of Otherworldly Light, but when I thought about it, they don't actually play that much actual exile effects. They mostly just play They mostly play like just straight up destruction effects. Okay, well, but I don't think they search Mosswood Dread Knight, do they? No, they don't. Okay. Interesting. Well, not gonna lie, this was that actually puts them right back in the game. Yeah, they dealt with both of our engine pieces. We've got this in case they play another man line we absolutely have to deal with. All right, maybe Blast Zone, maybe Mirax. Actually, Mirax might be nice. Yeah, I guess we'll take another field. At least we got an answer to the fairy, and a backup answer, and a sort of backup answer, and a sort of backup answer. So I'm actually remembering an old trick. I'm gonna definitely hold the Thoughtseize until I draw a card I want to force through counter magic, or unless I'm gonna have to discard the hand size, whichever comes first, I guess. All right, there's a card we want to force. 1, 2. Do we get our Mirix? Man, you got to be kidding me! This is so frustrating. Like it's like they play a comically large amount of counter magic. Okay. Well, let's just jam. Def Jam. Come on. Come on, yes. All right. We actually need Merrick, so we need win cons. Okay. Ooh. Let's do something about that. That's a little spicy. Treasure token. Why not a fish? Probably Blast Zone. Okay. Okay, fair enough. That's a surprising amount of scry they can get for 5 mana. They have to deal with Crucible. Otherwise, my Blast Zone can deal with pretty much anything, any permanent based solution they have. Man lands get hit by the fields. Yeah, I mean this is kind of the thesis statement of this deck is that recurring Blast Zones, recurring fields, kind of for the most part can deal with almost any of their win conditions. Obviously, a humongous Shark Typhoon token is obviously something. So 1, 2, might as well. I mean, we're gonna have to discard hand size anyway. I mean, should we just fire off an Assassin's Trophy? I don't think so. All right, they finally drew it, but it might be too little too late for them. Well, that's unfortunate. I don't want to lose my okay. So 1, 2. We could put this to 4, but okay, they just want to go to the next game. I don't blame them. All right, I guess we will run it back. Was a game where like if you're down to like 3 minutes or something, you might want to bring in a sweeper again, just because one of the only ways you lose is if they like bring in all their hate piece sideboard tech like Kazandu ambush or whatever it's called, and Archon of Miria or whatever it's called. But there's an argument to be made that a blocker, quicker removal that doesn't lose as hard to counter magic, thought seize, life gain, and I just can't in good conscience take out Crucible Worlds for the most part. Although maybe if we're really down to like 2 or 3 minutes, and we're gonna win on time otherwise, I mean that would probably be the cut, is if we want to just have more sweepers, because Crucible Worlds is not going to either win the game or defend the game anytime soon. This is definitely, to say this is a long-term card is definitely an understatement. This card used to be worth a lot more money. But honestly, I think it's cool that this card became a budget card. It's a very cool card. It's a very cool card, and funny enough, it's also kind of tech against us. Like it's a tech that it's our tech, and it's also tech against us. And now that I think about it, yeah, I guess we can always it's also just very fair because, truth be told, we're a little bit vulnerable to both Grave Hate and just them removing the Crucible. Although what I like is I can, oh no, this is not going to bring back a land, and then, well, okay, that hand is just too risky. Well, if they Spell Pierce us, we're dead, but I can't in good conscience mulligan again. Ooh, blah, blah, blah. So what do we do? I feel like Assassin's Trophy is the most iffy here. It's the most likely to get mana difficulty, mana blocked, whatever you would call it. At least we're not losing on the spot to Spell Pierce, so there's that. Probably gonna just lose by not drawing our third land though. We did mulligan once, so I will mulligan a hand that's, I mean, if I had another one of these, it'd be one thing, but oh, if they hit this, we're in trouble. Yep. All right. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Yeah, we might not have hit our third land drop anyway. Man, that sucks. Sucks to lose like this. Well, we don't know. We don't know yet. Well, maybe we know. I did mulligan once, so let it be known I mulliganed once, but like it's just on a, oh man. Oh, of course they've got like everything they need. This is so disheartening. Losing like this is not what we wanted to see happen. Oh wow. Maybe we have to play more lands now, but then Mana Flood is a real problem, and we can't, if we play too many lands. Yeah, Crucible Worlds like already kind of like flooding with Crucible Worlds is one of its downsides. we can't not go for it, right? Sure, they're going to counter it, but got to try to be mana efficient. Okay. This Teferi's going to kill us. Oh, well, at least I didn't draw a card off a Narset, so that's nice. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, let's feed this to a counterspell instead. Maybe they let it go. Maybe we draw a swamp. Maybe we Thoughtseize. I don't know. We got to set ourselves up to. Oh no, actually, this card's gonna just block it anyway. All right. Well, you know, if I were them, I would have just like let this. Maybe they forgot the Narset blocks it, but or they just or they're just like, you had no chance after all. Okay. I changed the equation. The equation has definitely been changed. Yeah, there's like no way because I can't both force my way and I wanted a green mana too. It's not gonna happen. I definitely have to Thoughtseize. I guess, you know, our only chance to win is 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 marching. Just getting rid of Thoughtseize. I mean, we know this is definitely getting countered, but might as well try to. I don't like getting rid of Thoughtseize. We have to do this. What we have to hope for is to just rip a forest and then Thoughtseize and then force through Assassin's Trophy, because change the equation. I mean, they probably can just counter this and then just undo all that. But you know, that was like the plan. The plan to, like, you know, maybe get out of this. Man, so frustrating. I guess if we. Nah, I don't see that. I don't see us coming back from this. Yeah, because even if we draw Swamp, it's just like, ugh. Alright. Okay. Oh man, I guess I'll keep, but looks like another blue-white control type deck. Hopefully they don't pit something to March or play a portable hole type effect, but I think I gotta play this. If we rip a land next turn, great. We just use that to tap this and Thoughtseize. But if we don't, we're definitely gonna be thankful we hit a land drop next turn. At least looking at the top 5 is a pretty good bet we're gonna get a land. This does not look like blue-white control. Whoop, good thing we want to hit a land drop. Man, I want Demolition Field, but I kind of want to Thoughtseize even more. Let's go. This looks weird. There's all sorts of execution of 2 or less until it leaves the battlefield. Nowhere to run. Well, the only card really that does anything against us is Shieldred, so I guess we'll take that. I mean, we have removal, but you know, none of it's particularly good. Languish isn't a clean answer, so might as well. Notably, Vanishing Verse does not actually. Yeah, we're gonna do this because we do have answers to Pinnacle where we can unlock it again, and we really want to hit our land drop. Oh yeah, plus that can happen. We're definitely gonna scry though, because we want to get maximum value before they remove it. Land drop. That's not a land drop, so definitely that. As far as they didn't display Cavern or Soul, because they can't, because it doesn't. Okay. Right, might as well do this. Man. Maybe I should have tried to draw a card off of this first, and then we'll see. But scrying is definitely conferring advantages, though, too. Hmm. Interesting. I would have thought they'd play Pinnacle. Yeah, that's a land drop, so we'll definitely play that. Uh, at some point, though, we're gonna need to actually get a forest. This is not the long-term strategy we're hoping for. At this point, they got to play Pinnacle, or they just jam Yurion. I respect jamming Yurion. Okay. It's not too difficult to unlock again, and then I get more value out of the Maze Mind. But this is like kind of not what I was hoping for here. On the off chance we hit a Thoughtseize. Not exactly a Thoughtseize. Inscribed Tablet could potentially get a field, which could get a forest, or just get a forest directly. Only two of them, but still. Yurion. Yuri. Let's scry. Oh yeah, I'll take that. Okay. We have unlocked green. We've also unlocked. Let's see here. No basics. That would be nice. Yeah, I can't always have nice things. I see little downside. I almost certainly want to hit this, but I don't really see. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. How much mana is this? 6, 7, 8. Okay, so they're ways away from that. I see little. This isn't like a counterspell deck, so I don't see us getting punished that bad by doing this end of turn. It kind of plays around another one here. I get to see if they have any more basics, which is also nice. This is just one nice thing about Assassin's Trophy. Another one? Okay. I got a feeling they got one of each. I'll scry, why not? Oh man. Hitting land drops does seem good, so I guess I will. I wish I didn't draw this. I would have known I'd draw that. I wouldn't have put this to the bottom, though, if I scryed first, so. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'm going to languish. I want to hold on to Assassin's Trophy. Hopefully this doesn't screw us over somehow. Okay, good. Alright, that's fine. We got value out of it. No, get out of their forest. And good to know that they're out of basics. I guess we'll do this. Should we start playing Mirax or what? Yeah, I probably will. Oh, never mind. We will do this. We'll do this. We'll scry. I like it. We'll do this. We'll do this. I like this. Do this. And I'll do that. Do that. Should we draw a card, or should we just play this out? I see little downside to drawing a card. We could draw Thoughtseize, okay. And I guess we can hit that end of turn. We definitely want to hold this in case they Thoughtseize it, because we definitely want to hit that. Alrighty. Alrighty. Zonga. This one is fine by me. What now? I did not know this was an incarnation deck. I guess I should have seen it come in with all those random enchantments. Wait a minute. Did I have enough to see 1, 2, 3? No, I don't think I did. Oh, well, I like that. They'll probably block the Phyrexian Might, which is fine, because then I'll just languish. Kind of like it, but let's put it to the bottom. Oh, I really like this one. Because The only problem is we won't be able to hold the Assassin's Trophy up. That is the only problem. It's the only problem. Yeah, we really need that creativity. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to just fire this off now. So I don't have to discard the hand size. That's what we're going to do. Not going to draw yet. We'll draw at the end of their turn. We might deck ourselves. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, let's see here. See what they're operating with. Huh, they don't have any red mana. Well, nowhere to run just seems fantastically bad. We can't both generate a token and use field because we're out of basics. The frick is this? Short target creature opponent controls. Just combat damage to the player loses the game. What the? Draw 2 cards. Player. Well, good thing I got frickin' Assassin's Trophy. Although I guess the better card would have been I guess I'll draw a card. I mean, why not? I mean, might as well, I guess. Hmm. I like it. I play this. I think I'm just gonna auto yield because at this point I think my biggest likelihood of losing is to time. All right, I'll take it. All right, so what's the plan for this one? Honestly, I don't know that we need to sideboard. I guess Deadly Cover Up is better than Languish. They're not necessarily pressuring us super quickly, and Deadly Cover Up. They don't have like Indestructible or whatever, so Deadly Cover Up mostly just does everything Languish does, but this does more. I don't even know if they play that many creatures. Like, do they even play many creatures out? Because we could just play Shieldred's Edict. I don't have to play any Planeswalkers. Now into Necromentia and Incarnation. Wonder how that would go. I think Incarnation is scary as heck, actually. So you know what? We're gonna Necromentia. Yeah, I think so. Ooh, and I guess Deadly Cover Up. Oh man, this hand. Watch us lose to Thoughtseize, but okay, come on, man. If I would have just drawn one more land. I mean, sometimes these hands get there. That's the problem. That's the problem. What I like is how Inscribed Tablet enables me to hit more of my utility lands without necessarily needing to. Okay, I like that. Because Unmoored Ego, Overlord of the Hauntwoods. That card is a little concerning. Plains, Swamp, Forest. They don't actually have the mana to cast. Yeah, let's do Haunted Wampus. Unmoored Ego, like, honestly, that is what it is. They're probably going to name Mosswood Dread Knight, but I think we can live with that. But they don't have double blue. Plains, Swamp, Forest, Plains, Runefire. Their mana looks absolutely atrocious, but lets them rip exactly the land they need. I didn't think we even saw Red Source last game. Okay, interesting. Surprised they didn't just rip Unmoored Ego. Let's hit Mana Confluence. I'm not so sure about Necromentia anymore. I thought that, I don't know. Up the beanstalk. Okay. I mean, this seems like my best ticket to doing stuff. Probably get Forest. I mean, yeah, keeping them off blue seems like a good strategy. They can't cast Yorion, can't cast Unward Ego. Well, now they can cast Unward Ego, but they can't cast Overlord of the Pits. They can cast Yorion, actually. Okay. Maybe we'll try to keep them off lands before doing anything else. Hopefully they don't Unmoored Ego naming Extinction Event, which is our main answer to Yorion right now, but it just seems like keeping them off blue, which also might prevent them from Unmoored Egoing. No, it just seems like the thing to do. Okay. Yeah, we'll keep them on top. This is our last basic, isn't it? Yeah. Odd. Should we fire off Inscribed Tablet? I don't honestly see the point. Unless we, like, need to hit Mirax or something. Yeah, it's a non-land card. I'll keep it on top. I probably should have. Oh, well, if they just concede, we'll take that too. But we probably should have named Enigma, but anyway. Okay. Mm. Looks like a creature-focused deck. Okay, play a card as long as you control this creature. Cover souls. Okay. So I could try to march it. This card indicates to me that probably have more where this came from. We just gotta remember that we will 2-for-1 ourselves by yeah. Okay. Mm, whenever a land card is put into your graveyard from anywhere. I'm gonna try to go for a big languish. I think I want to hit this thing now. At least I can Assassin's Trophy it, I guess. Let's play Mosswood. How about that? I could have played Assassin's Trophy, but I think Mosswood is better. Why didn't they play the starting tone? Why? Bottom. Problem is they got Otawara, but I don't know what else I'm supposed to do here. I don't think Otawara counts as a legendary spell, so at least I don't think they can play the other one. Well, at least language was an evacuation. It's just a 3/3 for 3. So Os Yura and Oski is just better. So keep they can keep generating mana with Yara and Oski. I guess they're gonna deck themselves and then toss his Oracle, like taking a really, really long time. I wonder how many basics they play. We drew 0 fields. I think bringing in the creature removal is probably not a bad idea. Honest Risting. Okay. Well, it's pretty obvious they've got a response here, but I got nothing else. They obviously know we've got it because they've Yared multiple times, but I got nothing else. I don't know. There's nothing else I can do. I mean, they saw this coming. I don't get it. Unless their internet just they just get disconnected. But I mean, I don't know. That maybe they're laggy. They just need to refresh. I don't know how they could be frustrated if they saw this multiple times. They just couldn't play around it. I mean, there's no way they can tap. They can at least Ottawara twice. That should be enough to keep going. Yeah, they're back. Should have read Honest Rusting. Okay. Over Slime. Oh, I see. They can keep returning all the stuff from their graveyard. I wonder if this means we gotta go after Relic. I don't know. Yeah, man, complexity creep is definitely a thing. It's like there's these new cards they all just do so much stuff. Yeah. Excuse the yawn. I might consider still naming sorcery if I were them, but Okay. Interesting. Okay. I got 11 damage on me. Okay, so they should have enough. Alright, 12 damage. Oh, 13. This card grows too. Okay, well that sure took them a long time. We definitely won. This is definitely a Legion's End and Sheoldred's Edict match. And do we want Deadly Cover Up too? That is the question. How about Mosswood? How important is that? Honestly, I want to find out how many basics they play, but I just don't know that we, like, at this point, as long as we just deal with the creatures, I think they lose on time. uh, let's see, Mosswood or Deadly Cover Up? Although, honestly, we got to cut some cards even as is. I feel like Languish was a little underwhelming. So maybe like a Deadly Cover instead of Languish. But then what? Then what do we cut? We cut Mosswood Dread Knight. I kind of like having a blocker, but this seems to be very subject to being bounced. Do we really take out Mosswood Dread Knight? It's kind of hard to imagine, but Languish instead. Thoughtseize? Yeah, maybe we don't need Thoughtseize. No, Thoughtseize seems like an excellent card. Actually, how excellent is Thoughtseize really? Maybe Thoughtseize isn't as excellent as it seems. I could see them being in top deck mode and then top decking into what they need. I don't know. Well, we got lands, we got Legion's End. Let's see. Let's see what this what becomes of this. I got Inscribed Tablet. Alright, Field. Let's see if Legion's End does anything for us here. I was hoping they'd have another Rona. So they can play the Overslime next turn. Yeah, Guided by Light. I'm just kind of very curious. I really lose human. I just have to see how many basics they play. I guess let's do this now. I don't think they can do much in response. Okay, good. Well, actually, they got Ottawa. I don't know why. Restroom Steam. Slime. They're obviously going to return this to their hand, which sucks. They can do so much. They can do so much with this. This is crazy. This card is kind of nuts. At least they don't have Rona. These are all odd costed, so there's that. Oh, can they go infinite now? Maybe they can go infinite. Maybe I did need Thoughtseize, because Thoughtseizing this might actually be super good. Because I want to be able to gain 4 life. Yeah, maybe I can get rid of Slow Jerk forever. I wonder if they can return this to their hand, if they can get this out of their graveyard somehow. Well, that's fine, but that's going to go out of their hand. Yara and Uski or Thassa? Thalia. Oh, yeah, they can return that to their hand. Okay. I wonder, should I get rid of Yara and Oski, or should I get rid of Honest Runstein? Yara seems like it might be better because that messes with me to a greater extent. Alright, Honest Rutstein. Yep, knew that was coming back, but at least they can't get both that and Yara and Uski. Although if I actually hit Honest Rutstein, maybe they wouldn't have been able to get either one back. No, they would have, because they would have had Takanuma. If they Boseiju me, that's fine. It's fine, I was going to scry anyway. So that was not ideal. Let me see. I think let's go after this. You know, it's Assassin's Trophy. This guy. I draw a land. Definitely there's no way they can win on time, although they ran out of time anyway. Well, interesting deck. Yeah, not too thrilled about all this craziness that's going on, but hey, they take forever, and we end up reaping the rewards for that. So I guess we'll take it. Okay, well, post league. Well, I want to thank the patrons: Toby, Alex, Big Memu, Adrian King, Gavin Downer, Roland Schoenman, Erwin Lopez, Brian, Michael Patton. Yes, thank you for sticking with me. It's been a long time since I uploaded again, but I'm trying to again. And yeah, so you know the deck. This is kind of like this is a somewhat fair representation of the deck. It's a little gimmicky, but it's fun enough to play. You know, it depends. It's kind of up and down, but yeah, at the end of the day, I do kind of like as long as Crucible Worlds, I mean, as long as the fields, you know, are somewhat live, the deck definitely has some you know um, some chop, so to speak. This is probably my weakest deck out of my white blue, white red. Yeah, this is probably the weakest of those decks, just mostly because the white deck, I think, generally does what this deck does, but better. It does not have Thoughtseize, though, so Thoughtseize is obviously, if you really like discard, obviously that's a thing to consider. But I just find that white overall having better access to, permanent removal, other than Assassin's Trophy, which is one reason we really need green. Um, but yeah, white having access to like Get Lost and Emergency Eject and like just better ability to deal with a wider variety of permanent types, better sweepers too. Other than Indestructible, Day of Judgment is just generally better than both Languish and Extinction Event. Obviously, there are times where the Exile is super important, so there is that. But most of the time, Day of Judgment is going to be better, and most of the time, Split Up's going to be better than Extinction Event too. Most of the time, it's cheaper. You get the idea. It's cheaper, and it's more likely that they're going to have cards of different mana values, all untapped or all tapped. But yeah. Anyway, honestly, after just tinkering with this deck for a little while, I'm kind of set on the main deck. I think I am always just a little wondering if I should be playing Deadly Cover Up instead of either Languish or Extinction Event. I think it's typically Languish that I wonder should be Deadly Cover Up instead. There is an argument to be made that Languish is the better sideboard card and Deadly Cover Up is the better main deck card. It is possible, but it's just Deadly Cover Up is just so expensive. Yeah, it's just a little hard for me to justify. It is nice though that this deals with like literally anything, no matter how big. But I've got I'm gonna stick to what's been kind of working, and Languish being cheaper definitely has a place. Legion's End. I have to imagine that this helped at the very end. It really just helped stall the game. But I wonder if I want to test this some more. I wonder if I want to test it. Honestly, there's a thought of maybe just playing what's that card called? Fatal Push. Maybe it's too gimmicky. All this other stuff and its sorcery speed. On the other hand, there are certain cards that I really want to exile, like this Marketback Walker card that draws card equals +1 with encounters when it dies. Hangerback Walker and such, and like I don't know. There are cards that I want to exile instead. So I don't know. It's kind of a Sheoldred's Edict. I do think Sheoldred's Edict makes sense. As you can see, very important against blue-eye control. I think we could have won that if we didn't get mana screwed the last game, but it is what it is. Yeah, having like extra creature removal and extra planeswalker removal kind of important, I think. So yeah, but I'm thinking probably Fatal Push is just the way to go instead of this. Although I do like the exile effect. This kind of fits the mid-range idea a little bit better, especially taking cards out of their hand. Should I just bite the bullet and just play Fatal Push though? That's right. Creature opponent controls mana value 2 or less. Oh, Fatal Push. Fatal Push is just such a good creature removal spell. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll just no. I'll stick with Legion's End for a little while. I think I'll stick with it for at least a little while. I do, but against those mono red decks, which we haven't been playing as much against, having more instant speed removal is going to be pretty darn important because we have to deal with their haste. Mm, yeah, you know what? We'll just play Fatal Push. Um, and I keep going back and forth, don't I? Yeah, Fatal Push is cheaper. You know what? Actually, we're gonna try because I do think having extra exile effects can be good. We're gonna maybe instead of Shield, it's Edict. Which one of the problems is if they play like Narset, we don't oftentimes want to hit that. So maybe we'll play Baleful Master. Yes, they draw a card, but I don't know. It's an exile effect. It could be pretty cheap. Let's let's try this.